Okay, today's good evening, everybody. Today's Amud is Daf Chaf Amud Aleph. We're up to the bottom of Daf Yutesimus base, 3 lines from the bottom of the Amud, and we just said like this. Rav Asi said in the name of Yisroel, "Ma'aseh sheni mi maseh chayavin Allah." At what point are you chayav ma'aseh sheni? Meaning to say, at what point is a zar who eats it? Not a zar, sorry. It's eaten outside of Yerushalayim. You like him. What do you mean? It's a problem. It's allowed. We say no. Rabbi Yochanan says, you only chayav malchus for eating ma'aseh sheni outside of Yerushalayim if it first goes into Yerushalayim and then goes out. Before it goes into Yerushalayim, there's no malchus. And we learned it out of Psukim because it says, okay, we learned it out of Psukim how. And we mentioned that they're still not allowed to eat it in outside Yerushalayim. It's just not allowed. It's either it's an asay, that's for tzar kasef, that if you don't eat it in Yerushalayim, you're not able to, so then you have to be paid it. So it's clearly not allowed to eat. It's not allowed. The malchus is only when he first goes into Yerushalayim and then comes back out. That is the din of Rabbi Yochanan. Now we're going to ask a kasha from a brayse. 3 lines from the bottom of the Yutesimus base. Meisvei. Rabbi Yosi says, Koyin shall also be yadu te'ina shall tevel. A koyin who had in his hand a fig of tevel. Omar, so now he wants to be mafresh the maises, but he doesn't want to be mafresh at kipshutay. So we know that you can be mafresh machshava as long as you designate certain parts of the fruit or food. So it works. So here the Brayse tells me how it goes. Omar, if he said as follows, this fig trumasa ba'uksa, the truma should be in its stalk. Ma'aserisha and B'tzvoin, the Ma'aserisha should be in the north of the Taino. Ma'asesheni l'droim, Ma'asesheni should be to the south of the Taino. V'hishnas Ma'asesheni, and it's a year Ma'asesheni. V'hu b'Yerushalayim, he's in Yerushalayim, so you can eat the Ma'asesheni. There's no problem. So the only issue now is he's taking care of the truma is not an issue because he's mafresh truma and he's a kohen, so you can eat it. So oy Ma'asesh ani v'hu b'gvulin. Achla loika achas. If he eats this fig, he's still loika one. Why is he loika one? He's a kohen. He's allowed to eat truma. It's the Ma'aserishan. We know there's no lav for zar to eat for non-Levi. In this case, it's a kohen to eat Ma'aserishan. So what's the problem? Why is there malchus? And the Ma'asesheni is eating in Yerushalayim. So why is there malchus? So we say that the reason why there's malchus is because he didn't deal with the trumas ma'aser of the Ma'aserishan. Even though he's a kohen and he's allowed to eat trumas ma'aser, but he wasn't mafresh it, and therefore the Ma'aserishan is still tevel. Part of this taina is still tevel because there was no trumas ma'aser taken from it. So that's what we say. Achla loika achas. He gets one malchus. The Brayse continues. The Rabbi continues. V'zor on the top of Daf Chaf Amud Aleph. V'zor sha'achla loika shtayim. The zor who ate this taina is going to get 2 malchus. Why is he going to get 2 malchus? One because he's eating truma, and the second one because he's eating trumas ma'aser. No problem for zar to eat ma'aser, no issa. It's right. You're not allowed to take for it. It belongs to the Levi, but no issa. So he gets 2 malchus, one for the truma, one for the trumas ma'aser. Now the Brayse just notes if you wouldn't say this, if you wouldn't be mafresh the truma, you wouldn't have said truma ba'ukta a ma'aser b'tzvoina and so on and so forth. So then Taki would only be chayav one. Why would it only be chayav one? Because it's tevel. So it makes it worse. Now that it's been mafresh, the truma has been hufresh, so he gets 1 malchus for eating truma and another malchus for eating the tevel of the trumas ma'aser. If it weren't for this, he would only get 1 malchus. Okay, so this is the situation. The kohen gets 1 malchus for eating the tevel of trumas ma'aser, and the Yisroel gets 2 malchus, 1 for eating truma because the truma has been separated, and the second one for eating the tevel of the trumas ma'aser. And the Mishnah says that were they not to be separated at all, anything, then you would just get 1 malchus because it's all tevel. Okay, so now the Gemara asks the kasha, the time of that's the end of the Brayse. The time of the East of Yerushalayim, the whole reason why the zar gets 2 malchus is because he's in Yerushalayim. How big? That's what's mashma. The Ma'asesheni v'hu b'Yerushalayim. Why does it have to give an example of Ma'asesheni v'hu b'Yerushalayim? Because then he gets 2 malchus. How we can be medayik b'gvulin. Were he to be outside of Yerushalayim with this fig like a shalish, he would get 3 malchus. 1 for the tevel of trumas ma'aser, 1 for eating truma, and 1 for eating Ma'asesheni outside of Yerushalayim. And the kasha is the way that goes to back goes for even though the Ma'asesheni didn't yet go in Yerushalayim. It seems clear from the Brayse that as long as Ma'asesheni is in Yerushalayim, then you don't get malchus. But if the Ma'asesheni was outside of Yerushalayim, you would get malchus for eating Ma'asesheni outside of Yerushalayim. It doesn't seem to be a condition that first has to go in and then go out. So the Gemara answers no. That's the Akimta. The Isle of Afku, Taka talking about situation when you went up to Yerushalayim with mafresh all the trumas and ma'asers there, and then you went back out of Yerushalayim and you ate it, and that's Taka why there would be malchus In other words, the deal is that you went into Yerushalayim, and we're saying that if you went out, then the deal is referring to if you went out of Yerushalayim, then there'll be a Malkus. If you never went into Yerushalayim, then Taka, there wouldn't be 3 Malkus for the Klein, for the Zar. In other words, the Braisa Bichlal doesn't seem to really have any chidushim. Yeah, if there's a chiddush from the diok of Ma'aseh Sheni B'Yerushalayim, which tells me that if he wasn't in Yerushalayim, there'll be an extra malchus. So that's a good deal. That even though it wasn't Roy Pnei Chaima, there's still malchus. But now that you're telling me there's talking about a specific case when you went in and went out, obviously everyone's going to agree that you're going to get malchus in such a situation. So my remember, what's the chiddush? There's no chiddush in the guf abraisa, because we know that a zar is not allowed to eat truma, and we know that we know all the din. The only chiddush we thought was going to be in the diok, that if it was outside of Yerushalayim, you'd get 3. But now you're telling me that there's no chiddush because you're talking about a case where it went into Yerushalayim and then went out. Everyone, there's no chiddush then. My remembrance. The Gemara answers, "Hacham ma'askin kigoyin da'ilinu b'tivlayu." Hacham ma'askin da'ilinu b'tivlayu. The chiddush over here is it's talking about a situation where you went into Yerushalayim while it was Tava. So although Kim Tabanis doesn't say anything in the Bryce, yeah, but Rabbi is talking about a case where you went up to Yerushalayim while it was Tava. You were mafresh it then. No. 1 second. Yeah, you like it. Yeah, I like it. The Aile B'Tivlayo means sorry, no, my mistake. Yeah. The Aile B'Tivlayo means you took it into Yerushalayim while it's Tava, and you took it out of Yerushalayim while it was still Tava. And that's the chiddush. And then you were mafresh it. Then you said Trumasa books and Ma'aseh Mitzvah, Ma'aseh Sheni, the Droma, etc. And here there's a chiddush. The chiddush is that even though when you took it into Yerushalayim, there was no Ma'aseh Sheni name on it, there was no Shem Ma'aseh Sheni. Nevertheless, when you take it out, you chayiv malchus for the Ma'aseh Sheni. Were you to take it out? Yeah, the diuk is that were you to then take it out and be mafresh it outside of Yerushalayim? If this whole story happened while you were outside of Yerushalayim, you take get a malchus for Ma'aseh Sheni. Even though there's Makkos to learn. Just a second. When is Ma'aseh Sheni chayiv malchus? When you take it up to Yerushalayim as Ma'aseh Sheni and then take it out. But if it was never Ma'aseh Sheni, it was Tavel when you took it into Yerushalayim and Tavel when you took it out, and only then it became Ma'aseh Sheni, maybe there's no malchus. So that's the chiddush. And pshat is the reasoning behind it is that Tana Rabbi Yossi holds the matnes shaloi hurmu kamish hurmudan. That matanis of the kohen, which go to the kohen, well, not just the matnes kohana, but any type of matana, afrasha, like Ma'aseh Sheni and the like, is kamisha hormudamin. Even though they haven't yet been separated, it's considered as if they were separated. And when we look at this tevel, which goes up to Yerushalayim, we look at it as being partially truma, partially Ma'aseh Sheni, and it's as if the Ma'aseh Sheni went into Yerushalayim and then went out, and that's why you're going to be chayiv malchus later when you eat the Ma'aseh Sheni outside of Yerushalayim. Okay, that's the Gemara. Fred the Gemara Akasha. Is it really true that Rabbi Yossi holds this? That matanis which weren't separated, the tavel we consider as if it has for the din that the mechitzas are koilet it, and when it goes back out, you chayiv malchus, even though it wasn't Ma'aseh Sheni when it went in. Vatani, we learned in the Braisa the following: Shimon ben Yehuda Omer Mishum Rabbi Yossi. Shimon ben Yehuda says in the name of Rabbi Yossi. There's a machlokes b'sham and b'sel, and there's a machlokes in the it's a mishnah banus, yeah. It goes with Yonim Aleph says what's now. Okay, it's a mishnah in Ma'aseh Sheni Perek Gimel Mishnah Vav. There's a machlokes b'sham and b'sel there, and then there's a machlokes what the machlokes b'sham and b'sel is. So Reb Shimon ben Yehuda says like this: Mishum Rabbi Yossi. Loy nechel k'b'sham and b'sel al perish loy nigmar malacham v'av Rabbi Shalayim sheyifta Ma'aseh Sheni shnam v'yoicha b'chol makom. Both b'sham and b'sel agreed if you take peiros which weren't yet chayav in Ma'aseh, not that the Ma'aseh wasn't yet taken from it, they weren't yet chayav in Ma'aseh Sheni because loy nigmar malacham they weren't they didn't get to that stage when you smooth the oitzer and they're not chayav. So everyone agrees, both b'sham and b'sel tak agree. In such a case, it went into Yerushalayim, went out. It's not a problem. It's not considered that it's been into Yerushalayim. You can still be poida the Ma'aseh Sheni v'yoicha b'chol makom. You can eat wherever. Aval man nechel. So what's talking about b'sham b'sel? B'sham b'sel argue. B'sham says that you need to take the Ma'aseh Sheni back to Yerushalayim, and b'sel says you can eat it. You can be poider and eat it outside. What were they arguing about? So there's no machlokes. Everyone agrees that you can eat it anywhere because it's not considered as if it went into Yerushalayim because there was no chiyuv Ma'aseh Sheni on it. Aval man nechel. What's the machlokes? Al perish and nigmar malachton. Perish which nigmar malachton and whatever. In other words, right? Ma'aseh Sheni wasn't yet taken. Va'avri b'Yerushalayim, and then went into Yerushalayim and then went out. Shammai says, no, you've got to take them back. and eat them in Yerushalayim because it's been to Yerushalayim. It's tevel. He holds matnis sheloi horma kamish horma dami. Even though the Ma'aser Sheni hasn't yet been taken, it's as if it was taken. And therefore, when it goes out of Yerushalayim, you're not allowed to eat it out of Yerushalayim. And not only you're not allowed to eat it out of Yerushalayim, once it goes into Ma'aser Sheni, you can't be paid it anymore. You need to go back and eat in Yerushalayim. Basil says no. I don't care that it went into Yerushalayim, since it was tevel when it went into Yerushalayim and it went out. So then Yifta v'yoichel b'chol makom. That's the end of the mission in Ma'aser Sheni, where we see that Rabbi Yossi learns that the Machlokes B'Sham and Beis Hillel is talking about a situation when it was Nigmar Malach and was regular Tavel, and yet Beis Hillel says that Yifta B'Chol Yoichal B'Chol Makom seems clear that Man Shlohun Halach is that Beis Hillel B'Sham Makom Beis Hillel in the Mishnah. Nevertheless, Rabbi Yossi says B'Shem Beis Hillel that Yifta B'Yoichal B'Chol Makom. Yeah, but Yisal Gedaitich the Gemara Taichis is Yisal Gedaitich Man Shlohun Kamish Hormadam. If you're going to tell me that Rabbi Yossi holds that matanis shalom, that when you have potential, in other words, you have tevel, and the matanis weren't yet separated, but it's kamish homer, it's considered as if it's been separated for these dinim. Hakol tu mechitzas, the mechitzas were already koila the Ma'aser Sheni. When it goes back out, you're not allowed to be paid. That's the Gemara's kash. But the Gemara's kash is based on the assumption that when he goes into Yerushalayim, two things happen. But when Ma'aser Sheni goes into Yerushalayim, and huadin, if we say matanis shalom kamish homer, that when tevel goes into Yerushalayim and then goes out, two things happen. Number one, you get malchus for eating it outside of Yerushalayim, and number two, you can no longer be paid. Those two things, and they go hand in hand. That's what the Gemara thought. And if that's the case, then this Mishnah, where Beis Hillel says Yifta v'yoichel b'chol makom, is a raya. The matnish shaloi hormo is kamish shaloi hormo damin, because if it was matnish shaloi kamish hormo damin, you wouldn't be able to be paid anymore once it went into Yerushalayim, regardless of the fact that when it went into Yerushalayim it was tevel. So the Gemara answers no. You're making a little bit of a mistake over it. You're comparing going into Yerushalayim with regards to the din of not eating it outside of Yerushalayim with the din of whether you can still be paid it. It says, Amar Rabba, mechitza lechel deraisa. There's a fundamental difference. Mechitza lechel deraisa, the fact that when Ma'aser Sheni goes into Yerushalayim and then goes back out, and now you chayiv malchus eating the Ma'aser Sheni, that's midiraisa, that Rabbi Yechim Taka learned from the Psukim, that once it goes in and then it goes out, it's deraisa. So since it's deraisa, we extended it. I don't know whether this din is drabanan or not. Maybe that matna shaloi hormo, we say kamish hormo dami. That's because it's deraisa, so we apply the din of matna shaloi hormo kamish hormo dami. And therefore, if it goes in, so once it go, even if it goes in as tevel, now that it's outside of Yerushalayim, you're not allowed to eat it, and there's malchus. Even though when it went in it was tevel and not Ma'aser Sheni, because matna shaloi kamish hormo dami. But you're bringing me a raya that from the fact that Rabbi Yossi brings Beis Hillel that yifta v'yoichel b'chol makom, that's different. Mechitza likle draban. The mechitza likta, which means to say the mechitza that tells me that once it goes into Yerushalayim, it goes into the mechitza of Yerushalayim and then goes out, or even it doesn't go out, right? But once it goes into Yerushalayim, you can no longer be paida. That's the rabban, and that's a din rabbanon. In other words, midiraisa yibamis could be paida as long as now it's in Yerushalayim. Doesn't matter. Sorry, as long as it's outside of Yerushalayim. Doesn't matter whether it was in Yerushalayim previously or not. The rabbanon were the ones who were guys and said no. Once it went into Yerushalayim, it can't be paida anymore. The chigaz rabbanon, ki isabein, the tivil legaz rabbanon. The Rabbanan made the limited exera to a specific case when it was Mamish Ma'aser Sheni when it went into Yerushalayim, but not to case, but Tivle, not when it's a case when it was still Tavaloy Gaz Rabban. So to summarize what we've said till now, it's like this. The beginning of the Gemara from yesterday, what we learned on Monday, was that Rabbi Yochanan said a din that that Ma'aser Sheni, you only get malchus for eating Ma'aser Sheni outside of Yerushalayim if it was once in Yerushalayim and left. And we asked a kasha from a brisa which seemed to say otherwise. The Bryce which seem to say otherwise, because there it seems to be that Stamazai, if you eat Ma'aser Sheni outside of Yerushalayim, you'd get malchus, and the Gemara answers that that's talking about a specific case when Yitaka took it out and then went back in the diuk of that Mishnah Bryce. And the Gemara says, but just a second, if that's the case, what's the chiddush? Obviously, everyone agrees in such a case that you get malchus. The Gemara says no. The chiddush is that even in a situation where it went into, which is debatable, depending on the machlokes of matnish shloihomer kamishomer damin or not, but even in the case where it went into shleim as tavel and now came out and now it's Ma'aser Sheni, you still get malchus because matnish shloihomer kamishomer damin. You look at the tavel as having Ma'aser Sheni in it, and it went into Yerushalayim, and the mechitza was koila, and therefore you get a malchus for eating it outside Yerushalayim. Okay, and that was Yossi was the Bala memra. So now the Gemara asks, well, is that really true? Rabbi Yossi says elsewhere that seemingly the matnish shloihomer is kamisha loihomer damin, because he brings the Makkos B'Sham Beis Hillel and says that Beis Hillel say that in a case where it's nikmar malachim but still tevel, that Yifta v'yoicha b'chol makom, that you don't need to take it back to Yerushalayim out after it was taken outside of Yerushalayim. And if you're going to tell me, man, so when it went into Yerushalayim, you're not allowed to be paid there anymore. So the Gemara answers just no. The fact that when it goes into Yerushalayim, it's the mechitzas are colder, so to speak. Is the mechitza makes it even if it goes after outside of Yerushalayim, it's got the din that went into Yerushalayim. He's only talking about the din that you're not allowed to eat it outside of Yerushalayim, the Makkos outside of Yerushalayim. But the din that you're not allowed to be paid it anymore is a derabbanon din, and the rabbanon only applied it to a case when it was mamish ma'aser sheni, not to the case of tavel. But really, in a normal case where we're dealing with the deraisa, Rabbi Yosef would agree that manish leihormu k'mish hormedan. That's teretz number one. Rabbina Amar, Rabbina says another pshat. When we say another pshat, meaning to say we're going the whole way back. Yeah? Right? You have to just point this out. Yeah, the Rabbin is going back now not to answer the steering Rabbi Yossi, but rather to say no, but MS Rabbi Yossi holds and he's we're being chayed according to Rabbi. We don't say you're going dailinu b'tivlai, that the original brisa that we said is talking about a situation where you took it up when it was tavel and took it out. No, we're talking about a situation where you're in Yerushalayim and you took it into Yerushalayim a normal way while it was Ma'aser Sheni, but the knocket le bekani, it never really went into Yerushalayim. You took it with a stick, you went into Yerushalayim, and the stick was outside Yerushalayim, which we had a shaila earlier whether that's considered as if the Ma'aser Sheni went to Yerushalayim or not. And Rabbina says, "But tifsha by the papa." Rabbina Taka says, "No, we'll learn the brayz talking about knocket le bekani." That's the chiddush. That even though it was the knocket le bekanya and the Ma'aser Sheni never made it into Yerushalayim, nevertheless, at least this is how some Rishonim learn. Yeah, there's discussion, but this is one explanation in the Gemara. Then the Gnokele Bekani Tisha by the Papa, that the chiddush is that even though the Ma'aseh never really went into Yerushalayim, but the person went into Yerushalayim and the stick was so there's going to be Malchus for eating it because it's considered an extension of him and it's considered as if it was in Yerushalayim, even though the Ma'aseh physically wasn't in Yerushalayim. Tisha by the Papa. Okay, let's see Rashi. It's a Rivan, yeah. The Rivan. So Truma B'Uktzah, it's 4 lines to the bottom of that Yud Testament Beit Nash. Truma B'Uktzah, the boy. So Rashi is just the Rivan's just dealing with a question why you need to say that where the Truma is. Just say that I'm being mafresh Truma. Part of it's Truma, a little chelik of it's Truma. Why did it say Truma B'Uktzah and right? Why did it say Ma'aseh B'Tzvayna? So he says the boy Reishish Sheisharan Nikarim. The hook will be in the reason why you have to define where it is because this Tana holds that you need Reishish. It says Reishish the Gancha. It needs to be the beginning and the rest has to be Nikar. So you have to know where the Truma is. The hook will be Haidin Nan Shnei Lugish Ani Osla. There's a mission to my seems to imply otherwise. That you can just say Shnei Lugish Ani Osla happy without saying where you're going to be mapped from Harin Truma. Im Koiman Holigaha. That's a machlokes on this. The loy boy reish shani kain. It's machlokes tanam, and that Mishnah goes with a different Tanu who says you don't need shani kain. You don't need to define exactly where the truma is. Hishnas ma'aseh sheni v'oisa shana shniya shroilit and ma'aseh sheni. It's the second year of the Shemitah cycle where ma'aseh sheni is given. We know the first and second year is the chiv ma'aseh sheni. The third year of the Shemitah cycle is ma'aseh ani. Okay, Hubi Yerushalayim k'shekar shemis halal oisa teina. He was in Yerushalayim when he said these names. When he was mafresh, so ma'aser ani bigvulin oishi shnas ma'aser shiz v'al ma'aser ani b'dem who loy ma'aser sheni who afilu bigvulin. So we say loy ka'achas. He gets one malchus if he's a kohen. Why? Why does he get any malchus? Or he took the truma, right? And he's a kohen. He's allowed to eat truma. So we say the loy hoitzio midei tevel b'kriyas shemzeh. Because by doing all these things, truma, ma'aser sheni, ma'aser ani, whatever it may be, he hasn't yet taken it out of the category of tevel. Why not? Because the Ma'aser Rishon that he took hasn't had Trumas Ma'aser taken. Levi has to take Trumas Ma'aser, and he didn't do that. So he's been over the lav of Tavel. It's a Truma de Ka'achal Leka. There's no second lav of Truma because he's a Kohen. When he have Omar Trumas Ma'aser MC, so the truth is that if the Vitaka would have said Trumas Ma'aser MC, Matzach could have looked at Midi, would have done Marcus at all. Trumas Ma'aser the Kohen, who Kohen. But the problem was he didn't say that. So now Rivan's asking a question: what about Ma'aser Rishon? Ma'aser Sheni belongs to the Levi and Ma'aser Sheni, so that's not a problem. And Chura means it should be Ma'aser Ani, by the way. I think it's a mistake in Rashi. Yeah, Ma'aser Rishon, Ma'aser Sheni lo Loki, lo af lezarim shari. Chura, the reason why he's not like Ma'aser Sheni is because of Hubi Yerushalayim. So the Lashon Da'af Zarim Shari is interesting. Lo the Mistafina, I would say that it's a mistake. It means to say V'Ma'aser Rishon V'Ma'aser Ani Lo Laki Da'af Zarim Shari. Okay. Hachi Gorsin on time with the Ma'aser Sheni B'Yerushalayim Ma'aser Ani B'Gvulin. Ma'aser Sheni B'Gvulin like a Shalish. It's mashma that if the Ma'aser Sheni was in outside of Yerushalayim, you get 3 malchus, and the question is why. We know you only get malchus. Rabbi Yechon says you only get malchus once it goes in. So Gemara says, yeah, Taka, we're talking about the situation. The deal of the mission is talking about the Eilil Yerushalayim, the Karol Eshem, the Hadaf Chutz. The Chazam Ma'aser Sheni Pnei Chaim Huchlik. So that's why you're getting things. More than ask Yochi Ma'ilem. What's the chiddush? That's what you're talking about. If you're going to tell me the chiddush of the Mishnah is, or the din is that Ma'is Sheni Bigvulin gets Makkos, 3 Makkos, even though it never went into Yerushalayim. It's a big chiddush. Chayav and all of Api you take a chayav even though it went into Yerushalayim. It's the Mishnah Mishum Diukadida Habigvulin, and the whole need to say this Mishnah Brisa is to say the diuk of Habigvulin. If the case of the Mishnah is talking, it's a Mishnah, it's a Brisa. It's a Brisa. It's after, yeah. If you're going to tell me the Brisa is talking about the Eile V'Afke, he took it in and took it out. My remember what's the Chiddush? Lo Yit Tzricha. The Lav Diukadida. Nothing's the Pshita that Filu Klein Lo Yikalatel Vazal through my Sheni Chutzpah. These things are all obvious. What's the Chiddush? Not the din and not the deal. So my answer is the Chiddush is the Eile B'Tivra. It's a big Chiddush. Now, even though we know that you need to take it into Yerushalayim, we're assuming you need to take it into Yerushalayim in order to be chayav. The Chiddush of the Mishnah is that even if though you took it up while it was Tavel, yeah, like he tained Yerushalayim, the kol tu mechitzas lemaisa sheni ha osilit remember the mechitzas are koilative, even though it's not ma'is sheni now, because of the ma'is sheni which is going to be taken from it. And this Tana Rabbi Yossi holds that man says as if the ma'is sheni has already been taken. The domi command al ma'is sheni, as if you took the ma'is sheni be'eina the way it is. Therefore, when you take it out, like a situation where you took it out while it was still tab. Now we say, how can Rabbi Yossi say such a thing? Can we really say Rabbi Yossi saying such thing? A different brayso, Rabbi Yossi quotes Makkos b'shami Beis according to Beis Hillel, which halacha always follows Beis Hillel. We're going to say that he says that that you can eat the night, you can be paid it. And if you went into Yerushalayim, how can you be paid it? So shenigma malach on the ma'aseh in the parish Mizraim, the amos like malach on the ma'aseh bechitin mishi mrecha krividlo mishi you've passed good different stages in the process. Sheyif the ma'aseh adayin yesh lekpia kimedol shenigma malach since it was never chayiv in ma'aseh lo min k'mishon medam. Even according to man dam, it says man shelo yom k'mishon. That's only after nigma malach. But lo nigma malach there's no chayiv ma'aseh, so it's not a problem. Then it's not a problem. We're not going to say that. However, if it was Nigmar Malachtan, so then Beis Shammai says it has to be eaten in Yerushalayim once it goes out. Why? Because Beis Shammai Kamishor Medamin. Now you understand. Beis Shammai holds Kamishor Medamin. Beis Hillel, however, says Yifta V'Yechab Chamatim. That if it went up while it was Tavel and then went out, you can redeem it and eat it anywhere. It's not a problem. The fact that Rabbi Yossi says this B'Sham Beis Hillel must be that he holds this way. Why? The B'Sham B'Makom Beis Hillel in the Mishnah. You know the B'Sham B'Makom Beis Hillel in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi has to pass in that Beis Hillel. From the fact that he said that it has to be redeemed is a raya that matnish shelo yihormu is lav k'mishor midamin. Yeah. So from the fact that it says yifta, you redeem it. There's a raya the man shloim is lav k'mishor midamin, and that's why you're allowed to be paid. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to be paid. It's my chain which goes into Yerushalayim. You're not allowed to be paid once it goes out. So the Gemara answers, well, just a second. So this is not in Rashi. The Gemara answers that the dinim oshoinim. The fact that once you take something into Yerushalayim, you can't be paid. The whole din is the Rabbanan in the first place, right? And therefore, it only applies to real ma'aser sheni. There weren't guys in the case where the tavel went. Masha Enkin, the din doiraisa. That you're not allowed to eat ma'aser sheni once there's a malchus for eating ma'aser sheni once it goes into Yerushalayim and comes out. That's doiraisa, and therefore we do apply the principle of matnish lahom k'mishomidami to say that even if it went in while it was tavel, it's once it comes out you get malchus. Rabbi Omer, how did I? Rabbi says different terms. No, how did I kina lal habik like a shalosh v'kabisa memra? It's going to knock lebekan. The original Mishnah, or original Brisa, which you ask what's the chiddush about it, is talking about a situation where you took it with a stick, the commander of even though it never was in Yerushalayim, this Ma'aser Sheni, but because you were holding it with a stick and you were in Yerushalayim, it's considered an extension of you. Okay. So now we're up to a new Mishnah about other cases when you get malchus. Okay, let's see inside. Says the Mishnah, you make a bold patch in your head, and the Mishnah doesn't say this clearly. The Rashi says, and the Gemara explains it. You only chayav a karech karka to make a bold patch of your hair. You pull out your hair in anguish if it's alames. If you do so as a sign of mourning, as a sign of like pain, out of pain from someone close to you passing away. So that's number one. You get malchus. Hamaki pasroish is someone who corners the corners of his head, meaning he just shaves his head and all this is cut off. Mashkis paszakan is someone who destroys the corners of his beard. What's that goes back Gimel say? Okay, maybe not achas. Okay. Or someone who is soirit srita, he wounds himself. Alames. Earlier we were talking about pulling out hair. Here we're talking about yichayvel himself. Alames, make chabura, because of it, right? So in all these cases, yichayev malchus. Now we say sorat srita achas al chamisha mesim. Here we have an interesting thing that if you wound yourself once, but you do it because of chamisha mesim, oichamer srita sal meis achas chayev kol achas v'achas. You take a chayev on every single one. It's interesting. It says only when you get to sorat srita. The reason for that is that korech korach and sorat srita is two different dinim. Pulling out bald hair, and as we'll see in the Gemara. But over here, there's a special din that if someone wounds himself, so then whether it's one wound for 5 mesim or whether it was 5 wounds for 1 mes, you have 5 different malchus. Al roish. Now we're talking about the peyas roish. Shtayim achas mekan achas mekan. You can get 2 malchus. Yeah, if you take it, there's 2 corners, there's 2 sides where the top of the hair joins the beard, and there's the peyas roish. And if you pull them both out at the same, if you shave them, you just destroy them at the same time, you're going to get 2 malchus. Alazokain, with regards to the beard, we're saying shtayim mekan achas mekan. There's 5 different corners which you can get malchus for. And now Rabbi says, if you take all 5 corners at the same time, you only chayev one. You only chayev 1 malchus. The ein chayev adshi tlenu. I think Rabbi is being choylek on the Tanakamu. Taka says you be chayev calling kachas 5 different times. Rabbi is saying you only chayev 1. The ein chayev adshi tlenu b'tar. The Tanakamu says you only chayev for the beard. Payas is not so. It's not first in the mission. It's taka discussion whether if you cut your payas with a very close. It's not a shave. It's not a razor. Whether the chayev or not, but with regards to the beard, same first. The ein chayev adshi tlenu b'tar. Yeah, you only chayev for shaving your beard if you take it with a razor, Shiur, whatever. Rabbi Lezer says no. Even if you take it with a malakat or hitni, it's can't remember the English word. I'll be honest with you. English, scissors, no. Tweezer? I think it's called a pare, P-A-R-E, which you smooth out wood with. It's a keli that you smooth wood out. So if you cut your hair with that, with your beard with that, you also have. Okay. That's the mission. Let's see Rashi. What time is it, by the way? 9 o'clock. Let's see Rashi. Case of Makif Pas Reishoy. What's the chiddush? Why are you telling me that Makif Pas Reishoy you get Malchus? So he says, Mishum the boy le meima hainin of Pas Reishoy not because it's taka chiddush of which of the. Remember, we're not just where's Rashi coming from? If you remember when we first started in Aloike, we're not saying every single case of Malchus. There's a chiddush in each one. So they get to correct karcha. The Gemara is going to explain it's only alameis and it's all over the head, even though it says all sorts of dinner. Chiddushim. What's with the chiddush by Makif Pas Reishoy? So Rashi says because he's going to tell you what the corners are, so that's why it's saying. Seret ois chabur ba'as mishum sameis. Seret shrita achas alameis chayev. Hacha lav dafka nafka shrita achas. It's lav dafka 1. That you chayev. Adam mishum the boy leflugi lekamei b'shrita achas. The shtei is not going to let them. Chimduma delay garcina leirashis. In fact, that's how we have a gersa also by the Abach says that you're not gersa out. Shrita achas al hey meitz mahei shrita sal meitz achas b'gmar marbe the chayev kolachas. The Gemara is going to be marba. How we know that one wound on 5 mason gets malchus or gets 5 different malchus, or 5 wounds on 1 mace. The Gemara is going to explain. Chayev ala roish. Right, when we talk about the beard, with the payas, ala kofas roish chayev shtei malchus. If you do it, you're going to be chayev 2 malchus. Why the shtei payas is roish? It's 2 corners. Sharoish kishtei chatichat. The hair on the head is really is separated into 2 pieces, 2 halakim. Makam aseh chatichat. Whether the top of your head, is the hair. Then is the face and the beard. I think temple in English, over here, where there's the joining of the bottom of your face with the top, with the hair which is on top of your face. So that's the pesh. Sham sefer rosh makom chibur prag. It's the bottom of the head and the beginning of the face. Each side. Okay, what's Taka chayev al roish. The pshat is Rivan explains the chayev alein shtayim afilu not mevasachas b'shtei yadim. You chayev 2 malchus even if you do it all in one shot at the same time, one with one hand, one in the other. You chayev twice. The afa gav the chadas shaka masli al takif. even though it's just one asrar. So why you're just doing one lab? Why do you get two Makkos? He says the zil hacha pair, the zil hacha pair. Each one's a pair. You're not the payers. Either one is included in the lab. If you do both, you're going to get two Makkos. I mean, come on. Gabi korcha v'gabi tzrita the ma'asin the chayv korcha kol ser the ser. On hinda hacha lo yitzarek lasvei mikra. Says that goes to the back. V'hacha nami hacha. Here also the hacha lo yitzarek lasvei mikra. Why don't we try and be doisha from a pasuk like by korcha and tzrita that the mistamaki heichi damina v'ser the chayv kol ser v'ser the hacha nami amina to ask the chayv kol peh v'peh. Allow me to tour the karash amina kol lahai. We don't know out of the extra pasuk. So here already is a little bit of confusion. What's pshat in the Rivan? Hagai Sabach says Elami Mashma. Also kedamrina lekama. The Sachinu v'chulu Chamish. Yeah, the Gimgo. Yeah, I think we don't have the word Gimgo. Damrina lekama the Sachinu Chamish es paas nashad Africa black al chadasham chavin lekamish. We see in the Amud Beis where it talks about somebody who took his 5 fingers and dipped it into a cream which removes his potion which removes his hair, and then he took each finger and put it in the 5 corners of his zakein that he his beard. The Taki gets 5 mouths. Okay. So we're saying the same thing applies to the Pesach Rosh. Shtayim mikan, Chamish Pesach Yesh Lezaken. You have 5 corners to the beard. Echal Lamatim in Oiz and Makom Shaleket Hakniyes Misbared Sham. Sham Nikrpei B'Chudish Shaleket Shabei L'Chutz Shasham Askalas Zaken, where the beard starts. B'Chol Mashal Malad Tzid Michal Pesach Rosh. Anything above is the Pesach Rosh. V'Shtei Shibud is Kol Echem Men Sefer Lechi V'Nikrpei V'Achmul Mata Seir Shebei Nashibud is B'Emtza Santer Shaloiz and Man. Ein Chayvat Shitlanu B'Tar. Panikama Ka'amala Rabbi Lezer Polygal. Panikama is saying Ein Chayvat Shitlanu B'Tar. The Lezer argues. Okay, that's the mission. Says the Gemara. Ton Rabban. Lo yikuchu. Yeah. How do we taka know? You know, the Gemara is starting off with the Brisa to teach you how taka do you know that you chayev for each karcha. Let's say hadasra. Someone tells you don't take out this bold spot, and you take out a number of bold spots straight afterwards. How do we know that you're going to be chayev on each one? So Ton Rabban lo yikuchu yakar afilu karcha arba v'chamish kriches lo yehi. The Gemara later is going to explain how does it work. Yeah, with Hasras being they dibber and so on. So let's leave the details. But for the moment, we're assuming that, we're not getting to the details. There was a Hasra, and then you went and you did 5 krichas. So you did 5 tearing out of your heads 5 times. So lo yikchu yocha pilu karcha abu chamish krichas leichai velachas tamalem karcha. Pasuk could just say lo yikchu b'roshim. Don't take out your head. Lo yikchu karcha means there's a lav on each one. L'chai kol karcha. Each bold spot has its own malchus, and if you do it 5 times, you're going to get 5 malchus. What's pshat in the pasuk when it says lo yikhu karcha b'roshim? As the Rivan explains, it's not pshat. There's a yitur over it. It needs to say b'roshim. The vart is because otherwise you would think you take a bold spot in another part of your body. You also yichai malchus. But the question b'roshim, it just means he's just explaining what we end up learning from the word b'roshim. Not that the b'roshim is a yitur, is an extra word. B'roshim atam. What's taka pshat in b'roshim? The fish and says in Parashas where is it? I think. Yeah, lois is going to do lois simu karcha bein nechem lemei. Over there it says a pasuk. You know, the pasuk leikhu karcha that we're saying over here is a pasuk in Parashas Emor or Kedoshim. I think Parashas Kedoshim. This is Parashas. This week's Parashas. It was in this week's Parashah, yeah? Emor, yeah? So in Parashas Emor, it says, Leiku Karks, the Makkainim. Kainim are not allowed to take a bold spot. And there's another passage, Stam in Parashas Rei, which is talking about Yidden. Loitzis Goy, the Loitzis Simakarka, Bein Nechan Lameis. The only problem is, over there, it says, Bein Nechan, only between your eyes. Yocholei Chayv al Bein Nine Bilvad. I might have thought, even a Kohen is only, the whole lab is only Al Bein Nine Bilvad. I mean, 9, the Rab is called a Roish, right? Talmud Loima Baroshim, that's what the word Baroshim teaches me by Parashas Bahar by Emor by the Kohen. The Rabbi is Kolorish. Now, I only know from Baroshim that applies to Kohenim. Maybe Taka Kohenim or Chayav Karcha anywhere in the head. And Yisroelim, which Parashas that's what it's talking about, is Dafka Bein Nechan. And it's a Svara. Why would I only apply it to Kohenim? Should it be when I call mitzvahs? We know Kohenim have extra mitzvahs, extra Yisroelim, which other people don't have. Yisroelim, how do you know that by Yid also anywhere in the head is a problem to do a bold spot? It says the same word. Just like lalon, meaning by Parashas Emor, it says lo yikhu korcha. So a kol korcha v'korcha v'chayev al roish k'bein einayim. Afan chayev al kol korcha. Now there was one pasuk is megat v'korcha v'chayev al roish k'bein einayim. One pasuk is megat on the other, because there's two limudim which we learn out of the pasuk in Emor, which we don't learn out of the pasuk in Re'eh. One is it's there. It says lo yikhu korcha, which extra with korcha we learn that yichayev al kol korcha v'korcha. Another thing it says b'roisham, which expands the issa to the entire head and not just between the eyes. But it doesn't say that by the yit. So we learn, but since it's Gzeir Shava Karka Karka, so therefore we learn both dinim, both the Yichayva Karka Karka and also the Yichayva Kolaroish. We apply it to the Yisroel, even though by that passage it doesn't say these two dinim. But also we learn something from the pasuk over there. So over there it says Bani Mat Hashem Keichem. This is Goydelos Sima Karka Beini Nechem. There it says Lameis. In Emor, it doesn't say anything about the mace. Or Malanon al mace, Afkan al mace. And just like over there, meaning by Parashas Re'eh, it says al mace. So we learn from the Gzeir Shava Karka Karka, Afkan al mace. Says Rashi. Haki Gosin Loiku Karka Yakap Karka Limit Karka the Krai Seiru could have just said Loiku Barosham. Don't take out bald spots in your head. What's that? Loiku Karka means don't take out bald spots, so to speak. It's an extra word. Don't make yourself bold by making a bold spot. It's a yitur. So we learn from there that each bold spot itself is an extra lav, an extra mouth. When the bride says it doesn't mean say we don't need to say it. For sure, you need the word baroshim to have them in a karka kaldu. Otherwise, I would have thought a karka anywhere would be a problem. And the midrash kadarish le baroshim mashma kalarosh shelepish am. Just being darish, the baroshim taka means kalarosh, and I might have thought that only means beinei nechem. But like it says in Ray, but since it says Baroisham, it means Kol Lois is going to be Shrok Sav Leikhu B'Kainim. Bein Nine Baroish Samach L'Kadat. The Aini the Chayav Al Kol Roish El Kainim. The Hu B'Kainim. So we'll stop over here, even though it's the middle of the piece. But we'll stop over here. It's the end of an Amud, and you want to go to the dot, the dot over there. Okay, you know what? Let's do that. Hani Dalavei Krikas Hekidam. Right, so we're going back to the beginning. Yeah, we learned in the beginning of the Brisa. So this is the Gemara discussing. Yeah, we learned at the end of the Brisa. Now the Gemara is asking a kasha, a shaila. The Gemara says, the Brisa says, the pasuk says, we learn from the word karka, the chayva karka. How's it working over there? If each karka is its own lav, then what? If you were masra each time, so for sure, even without the word karka, each time you're doing something. So what situation are we talking about? There's a chiddush that from the pasuk of karcha we know that there's a malchus for each one. If you do one and you do another, and it's 5 hasrois pshita, it's like someone in the Chal Shabbos 5 times, there's 5 different hasrois and 5 different actions. Who cares whether, right? You're making yourself bold. What's the difference? Right? So it's obvious you don't need the extra word karcha. Elo, you're going to tell me b'chol hasra that there's one hasra. And then it's one act, and we're going to tell you, but because you made 5 different bolts, but it's going to be 5 malchus, but that can't be because there's a hefsek between the hasra and the ma'isa. A nazi will shoyse yain kol hayom, one drink after another. It doesn't actually mean non-stop, but yeah, one after the other. He's only chayav one because there's one hasra, and the hasra can only go on the first act. But if each time, from time to time, periodically they said don't drink, then he's chayav on every single time they gave him asra. So that's the Gemara's kasha. What's the chiddush? If there's one asra, so he's only going to be chayav one. If there's multiple asras for 5 different ma'ases, so then even without the word karcha, we would know that there's 5 different. You over the law 5 different times. It says Rashi, says Rivan over here. They're not going to bevasachas. Ela the asra bechadashov. Also, even kark was achas. Ami mechayv again in taki bichayev. Votnan ain't chayv lachas. However, the asra bechadashov at the nazir, even if he's drinking all day and he's drinking multiple revius of yayin. Nevertheless, since they only warned him once, he's only chayv once. Va'afagav the shiyasi bezachazei the shiyasi bevasachas kalayim leka. Al tish al tish, but they say al tish, they're massing by the chosh shiyasi. Then they gave him asra for every single drink. So then he's taka chayv kolakta. So what's the chiddush of it? My answer to the chiddush is as follows. Leitzricha the soch chamish atzba'os of nasha. He took 5 of his fingers and dipped them in a like a potion, like a cream, which is a hair removing cream. Voice vinu bevasa akas, and he took the 5 fingers, and each finger he put in a different. He made 5 bald spots in his head, each one the size of his finger. Yeah, and the havale asra called the bechadra. In other words, we're not for the pasuk of karoch. It's just saying he's doing one act. Right? He's doing one asra saying, "Lo yikru, don't make bold spots." He's making bold spots. Who cares how many he made? And the chiddush over here is I know that since the pasuk says karka, he's chayav on each karka and each one, and since he's doing a bevas achas, that asra can go on each and every one. Okay, that's basically the end of the Gemara. Oh, Rashi, Rivan, sorry. Nasa Pirish Nasha, I'm going to pronounce Pirish Sam Shemisis. I say it's a potion, a cream which removes the hair. Someone who uses it, the hair doesn't grow. Since he's doing all in one shot, one time. Why should that straw go on one more than the other? That straw is going on all of them. Well, the ultimate is okay. Stop over here, and we'll take a few minute break, and then we will continue with the